I ask your indulgence this morning. I've rewritten much of my lesson. This morning I'll probably be a little bit more note-tied than usual because I want to be sure that I say what I feel is necessary to say and what's important to say, so please forgive me for that. So my lesson is a little bit rewritten from what the alleged or the proposed blurb said in your e-news this week. The Irish poet John O'Donoghue wrote, "A journey can become a sacred thing. Make sure before you go to take the time to bless your going forth, to free your heart of ballast, so that the compass of your soul might redirect you toward the territories of spirit, where you will discover more of your hidden life and the urgencies that deserve to claim you. May you travel in an awakened way, gathered wisely into your inner ground, that you may not waste the invitations which wait along the way to transform you." I love that. I love the whole notion of our spiritual journey being like a pilgrimage, a sacred experience in which we are called to free our hearts, to open up the space for healing and transformation as we discover newfound wisdom and strength and faith and power within us. As I said, this lesson is taking a bit of a different trajectory this morning than I'd planned because of the challenges that we as a community of humankind face right now. But the poem I shared is still very relevant. A journey becomes a sacred thing. Make sure before you go to take the time to bless your going forth, to free the heart of ballast so that the compass of your soul might direct you toward the territories of spirit. May you travel in an awakened way, gathered wisely into your inner ground. And right now, the ballast that we may be carrying with us as we listen to the reports around coronavirus might be fear. But the means for us to navigate this particular time, this season of our lives together as a community, as a family of humankind, is in an awakened way, gathered wisely into our inner ground. As I stand here this morning, my heart is full. It is full for those who are diagnosed with coronavirus. I pray that they are healed quickly. My heart is full for those who have lost loved ones, for those who have lost loved ones and friends to death. May God bless them with peace and comfort. My heart hurts for those in higher concentration areas who have underlying health issues. May they be blessed with peace and surrounded and protected by God's love. My heart is very full for those in immigrant detention centers who are in places where overcrowding is commonplace and places in which medical support and care is severely lacking. My heart is full for those who, through no fault of their own, are losing their jobs or losing income because of layoffs and closures and cancellations. My heart is full for the most vulnerable in our communities who do not have the resources to isolate. My heart is full for those whose anxieties and mental health concerns are exacerbated by the heightened tensions and stresses during this time. My heart is full for the clergy and church leaders who are making very difficult decisions, canceling services as they struggle to find a balance between faith and wisdom, between trust and common sense, struggling to find ways to connect with their congregation. My heart is full for the first responders, the nurses and doctors and healthcare workers who are on the front lines. My heart is full for the people of China, of Spain, of Iran, and Italy, the current epicenters of the virus. When I think of northern Italy, a place that I love, been very blessed to travel in my life, I think of my favorite city in the whole world, which is Florence. And I remember going to the academy and seeing this colossal statue of David, this beautiful young man carved from a single block of marble. And as I was looking, it was as if he could take a breath and come alive at any moment. Every muscle, every sinew of his body was as if he was real. And there are people in Florence right now who are finding it difficult to take a breath. I'm reminded as well of my experience in Italy in the beautiful hill town of Assisi, the hometown of St. Francis, in the region of Italy called Umbria. It's an astonishingly beautiful place, and it helps me to understand why St. Francis loved nature as he did. It was a profound experience to visit the tomb of St. Francis. The basilica in which it is housed began shortly after his death in the 13th century, something that is forgotten and marks the profound influence that he had in his culture, in his time, in his society in the 13th century. It's so obvious to me that Francis made an impact on the life of the church. He made a significant impact on the lives to whom he ministered as he reminded them to be an instrument of peace. And when Francis turned from his rather indulgent life toward his spiritual search, in prayer he heard Jesus speak to him, "Francis, repair my church." Now, he thought that meant the crumbling little edifice in which he was praying, so he raced off to gather the materials to fix it. However, the vision was greater than that. Francis was called to repair the church, to mend the fractures between people, to invite them to open their hearts and minds to compassion. In Judaism, there is a term, tikkun olam, which means to repair, heal, or restore the world. And in this time of anxiety, I think that we are being called to heal the world, to make a pilgrimage within so that we can liberate something of the divine within us. But to do so, it requires us to free our hearts to compassionately and lovingly support one another. When Michelangelo sculpted the statue of David, he said that all he was doing was liberating David, who was imprisoned in the stone. And in the act of sculpting, he merely chipped away all the pieces of marble that didn't belong. And this is the way that we free our hearts for the movement of God within us, for compassion and peace. We chip away that which is superfluous and free what is imprisoned there. Charles Fillmore wrote in Jesus Christ Heals, "Let the Spirit of God in you reveal to you its true character." Let the Spirit of God in you reveal to you its true character. And so as we have this moment in time, we are being invited to do just that. To find that core of peace, that place of divine energy and life and healing in us, and anchor ourselves in it so that we can do our part to heal the world, so that we can do our part to compassionately serve the most vulnerable in our communities. One way that we can begin to heal the world is to walk through this season in our shared history mindfully, to make every step the first step in a sacred pilgrimage. A pilgrimage is a journey to a sacred place, and every place is sacred because God is in every place, and God is in you. The ground upon which you stand is holy ground. When you were in the grocery store amongst some anxious shoppers, as we were yesterday, send a silent blessing to those around you. Make the grocery store a holy shrine. You are a sacred being on a sacred journey with a sacred calling to heal the world, and God knows we need that now. And there's some very unhelpful theology floating around right now. One thing that I heard the other day from someone as I was listening, eavesdropping on a conversation in a store, well, coronavirus is God's plan. There's nothing we can do about it. So why are we doing anything? It's God's will. No. God's will for us is good and only good. We affirm that every Sunday, that God is good and wills for us only good. And God blesses us with wisdom and intellect and the powers to address the situations in which we find ourselves. I was thinking about epidemics and illnesses and health concerns that have presented themselves in my lifetime. And the generation of my mother's generation, most everyone in that generation in our family, some member of that family, a cousin, an aunt, an uncle, experienced polio. I don't know anyone in my generation that had polio. No one. And the difference is because God blessed the intellect of someone, I think it was Salk, to come up with a vaccination so that polio is no longer this thing that looms over us with great fear. God blesses us with wisdom and intellect and inspiration, and I know that that is at work now as well. And God's will for us is good. The virus is a manifestation of what it means to live under the conditions of being human. And through our God-given powers of wisdom and intellect, we will overcome it. And if you are a good Unity student, and if you get sick with any illness, don't feel that you have failed. When I was in my ministerial education program, my metaphysics teacher called that metaphysical malpractice. Another unhelpful theology floating around is this. And I see this aimed toward some of my colleagues in other denominations. Jesus is bigger than the coronavirus. It's true, absolutely true. But this statement is being used to shame those who are making very difficult decisions about their spiritual communities based on the best use of their faculty of wisdom as they attempt to do what is in the highest good for their congregations. It boils down to, my God is bigger than your God, and it's shaming. Now, I haven't witnessed any of this in our Unity congregations, but some of my clergy friends in other denominations are dealing with that. What is helpful is love and prayer and compassion. When we consciously exercise our faculty of love, it is the presence of God expressing through us as love. When we consciously call forth the divine faculty of wisdom, it is God's wisdom expressing through us. I shared this last week, but I want to give you a little bit more background. It comes from the Prophet Muhammad. And it's probably an apocryphal story, probably didn't happen. But according to this Islamic story. Prophet Muhammad once asked a Bedouin who had left his camel untied, "Why do you not tie your camel?" And the Bedouin answered, "I put my trust in God." And the prophet then said, "Trust God, but tie up your camel." And I know that there have been times when I have said, "God will take care of me," yet my choices and my behaviors did not match that proclamation. There are times when we affirm, "God will take care of me," and we continue to act unwisely. We don't tie up our camels. We don't take care of what is ours to do. So here is what is ours to do. Trust God. Pray for health and pray for peace. Pray for assuagement of anxiety. Pray for the wisdom of our leaders. Pray for the wisdom of medical and biological research. Pray for those who are most vulnerable. Pray for UCR and your leaders as we are making hard and important decisions. Remember that we are standing at the intersection of trust and tying up our camel. And friends, tie up your camel. Flatten the curve. Find out what that means. Practice social distancing as our officials recommended. Have fun with alternative greetings. Respect the space of others. See this as something to be enjoyed rather than a restriction. Practice good health protocols. Check out the CDC website for more details. Check out the Linn County Public Health website. Do what you can to free your heart of fear and to help comfort and ease the fears of others as we make this pilgrimage together. God bless you.